The reason I built this car was to get around a track and actually film true to life, fast content instead of relying on CGI. So, I mean, we've taken the car 155 with a smaller like black arm rig off the back, and we've done over 110 with the arm on the car, which is nuts because like the second you move it, the whole car moves over. So as a driver, you have a lot going on that you got to maintain.
Welcome to another episode of the Rough Cut Club. I am your host, Joey Nicotra, here with my incredible co-host, Mr. Shane Wright-Zammers. Shane, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. I'm excited to be back in the studio interviewing some great people.
Yes, we have a really awesome guest with us here today. Goes by the name of Max Fuerst, and he has a super cool last name, just right off the rip. Like, that's such a cool last name. But Max is an incredible filmmaker here in the DFW area with a really awesome niche in the industry that I am excited to get into. And Max, I just want to say welcome to the show, man.
Dude, thank you. That was like a walkout intro. I appreciate the love. So.
Play some music behind that.
Yeah.
I need a walkout song for the next one.
Man. Well, you deserve a walkout song.
Thank you.
Max has done some super awesome things in the industry, and we want to kind of jump and dive into all of those. But one of the things that I like to do before getting into some of the nitty gritty is just taking us back to the very beginning, man. Mm-hmm. I would love to hear everybody's intro into film, how their journeys began, and kind of what was the spark. And so take me back to day one, man. How'd you get into the industry?
Yeah, man, I think, it's funny. We were talking about the day we met and how we kind of connected. My film background and backstory is kind of similar to yours, where it started at skateboarding, at least for me, filming clips with friends and learning how to use a camera. I got in at the digital age. We were using digital, dad cams, if you want to call it that, and putting what do they call it? The peepholes on a door, using that for our fisheye and making that happen.
The fisheye is such an underappreciated lens in the narrative world, man. Mm-hmm. But that is the lens that I grew up like. That was my very first lens that I ever bought. Yep. Like an idiot, I bought a fisheye for my first lens, like when I wasn't even filming skateboarding, just because of the impression it made on me as a filmmaker growing up in the skate world.
And you could have been using a peephole, bro.
Dude, could have used a peephole.
That's awesome. A poor man's solution.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that.
And funny story on the fisheye, I know I cut you off, but I actually bought a fisheye while I was in film school in college, and I used it on one of my projects, and I got docked points on the project because it was a poor creative decision in my professor's eyes. And I was like, who are you to tell me that I can't use a fisheye on a narrative project?
Man, well, I was going to say don't get me started, but we're here and we will get started eventually on film school and college. But I had similar experiences. That's funny, though, because you watch a lot of new stuff, especially today. I feel like the angles get weirder. The lens gets crazier, dirtier, messier, and that's what's cool now. So it's funny you got docked.
Dude, literally, it was the perfect project other than my lens choice, and I was like, this is why. Anyway, I won't go down that rabbit trail, but anyway, I cut you off in your intro, man. Continue on.
No, you're good. I mean, it started skateboarding, and like we're talking, there's a lot of nostalgia and influence there from the filming and the skating of trying things, failing, getting back up again, and that's what I took from that. Moving forward, I continue to get into new hobbies. Automotive is my passion in life. So I got into cars after that, and I was into wakeboarding and boats. And eventually I kind of picked back up a camera when I was in college. And so it started with my handy dandy T2i that I purchased.
The classic.
Yep. Yeah. Classic.
Timeless.
Yep. Nifty 50 T2i.
Nifty 50 1.8, baby.
Yep.
That's the kit.
Dude, that's
the whole setup.
Oh, yeah. I started there too, man.
It's amazing doing, looking back at my 720p 60 frame footage that I slowed down in After Effects. Like,
with Twixtor or whatever. Yeah.
You get the sound ramp too. So, I picked that up and cars and wakeboarding. I just started filming stuff while I was in school. school and eventually switched from a business major to a film major. This right after 2008. So
Bro, I did the same thing. That's super crazy. Yeah.
What school did you go to?
I went to UNT.
Okay, me too.
Yeah. So weird. What year did you graduate?
I didn't graduate.
Nice.
So, I didn't graduate. I went through the film program, and from years of filming and, like you said, using my own camera instead of the school's cameras to do projects.
Same.
And seeing if I could get away with it, because I did not like you doing that, and 99% of the time it worked. I got all the way up to needing 13 hours to graduate. My best friend, Nate Hamilton, who's a pro drifter at the time, was in his third year running Formula Drift, and goes, "Hey, do you want to go tour the country with me and film racing?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." Didn't sign up for classes. I was like, "Oh, I'll go back one day if I need to." And it just
never happened.
All just kind of worked out. And I never went back.
One semester away and didn't finish
I bailed,
it.
dude. I bailed.
Dude, it took everything in me to finish film school at the time, because I was just like, I know I am not going to use this, man. But
especially there, I mean, you did RTVF there.
I was the first year to where it was media arts, but 90% of my time there was RTVF.
Okay,
there.
I was 09, so I was with you with the RTVF.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not a knock on it's really the platform or process of college, right? I was going to graduate and maybe I'd get to take intermediate film as my final course in my last semester, because there's so many people trying to get into classes that, I'm in class watching YouTube videos on how to edit and Premiere, how to shoot things. There were some really great teachers in that department, some not so great. But really it's just that whole college. Trying to put college and art together to me is just it's tough.
Well, and especially this is kind of a whole rabbit trail on just film school, but one of my biggest problems was that I couldn't take enough advanced classes due to how they had it structured with prerequisites, and especially with me doing my basics the first 2 years and getting those knocked out, and then you got to take your prereq, and then it's literally your last year of college until you get a camera put in your hand, and at that point there's not enough time for you to get advanced with your degree. And so that was my if somebody is going to film school, start taking classes earlier on so you can get into those advanced classes.
And we have a whole podcast dedicated to is film school worth it? And man, I love what Max is saying too. I mean, it's it ended up being like you didn't need it. You got to go tour, and then you've created this career, and opportunity found you. So. That's great, man. But, all right, well, pick back up. So you were in college. Okay.
As you can see, I'm good at going off on tangents.
So are we.
Well, Joey took us down that rabbit trail. But it was good. It was a fun chase.
I mean, that's the hot topic, right? Is film school worth it? So I'm always talking about that with a lot of younger people that I work with. So, post college, I was traveling the country filming all these pro drifters that I'd looked up to forever, because I'd been in the automotive industry for a long time or been interested in it. I had my own race car. I'm trying to think, it basically kind of turned into someone calling me and going, "Hey, I'll give you $500 if you make a video for my shop." And it was my buddy Kevin who built Evos more specifically. So Kevin called me. He's like, "I'll give you $500." I was just like, "No way,
bro." The first 500 just feels so good. It felt better than the first 1,000.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't know if I've found that feeling again.
The first 500 is you feel like you've made it to Everest.
Somebody's gonna pay me to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first 5, man.
Yeah, and I'm filming what I like, and Kevin builds the coolest 1,000 horsepower Evos ever.
Yeah.
So I'm just even being let in that shop was a treat for me. So it turned into filming that and kind of building, I guess, somewhat of a reputation and getting connected with people in the car industry through my buddy Nate that I was traveling with, because he was a sponsored driver. He started working with Hoonigan, which was Ken Block's company. So I was out meeting those guys, making content around those guys. So filming all this cool stuff kind of gave me a perceived value to people in the automotive industry, or that's that guy that is around or films these things, when in reality I hadn't, I wasn't making a ton of money or anything, which is a common thing when you're filming cool stuff, right? There's a line of people with their hand up to do it. So it was a learning experience and a cool path to take, because I actually loved doing it. And another hot topic of, do you film stuff for free or cheap? the scenario is always kind of, I think, more situation specific, but it ended up working out for me. But I was there doing something I love. So that's really what kind of catapulted me in that space to start making a living.
Love it, man. Love it.
And we talk about that all the time and with other guests too. It's like the stuff we're most passionate about. We've done free projects, passion projects that we're so excited about. That's our favorite projects, and they turn out the best.
Yeah.
And then it turns into a job, right? And then it becomes work.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, so take me to present day. You know, that's the start. Now take me to the end. Where are we at right now, and what does your business look like today?
Yeah, I'll give you kind of a quick summary from that to, I basically started an agency with some guys. We built it up. It was full service. We were doing web, SEO, PPC, and film. So I just did all the creative, all the video, built that for a couple years, and basically sold my shares back to them because I wanted to get back into the automotive industry. So I wasn't filming racing. I was filming more corporate videos, which was great. I was filming a lot of stuff for boat companies, which was super fun. But I wanted to pivot. So I ended up building my own camera car. So a company named Motocrane had released one, basically, I don't know what to call it, like a boom arm that you put on top of cars. Some people know them as Russian arms that you see chasing cars around in movies. So they had released a version 1 that was okay. I didn't buy that, but they released their Motocrane Ultra 12-foot jib available to buy for any filmmaker. And I was like, I need that as soon as it came out. So once I sold out of my old business, I bought that, built at the time, which was the fastest camera car in the world. So that kind of was the next step in my career, I guess, if you call it that. So
much to unpack there.
Yeah. So agency, camera car.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more that happened to present day, but the camera car is like a big part of that, and still kind of is.
So, and we're going to dive into the camera car for sure, but I want to take it back even one step further on the company that you built and sold and kind of dive into that, because I think that's super interesting. So tell me a little bit more about the company that you built, you selling it and just that process.
Yeah, I mean, basically me and some guys partnered, and we all had different skill sets and all kind of ran our own departments, right? And I made the move from racing into corporate video because that's what I saw as the next step to really like building a living out of what I was doing. So making stuff for companies outside of automotive, and making content to sell people's products and really learn about what drives ROI, why do people want to spend money on videos. So that was like a big shift for me, and learning that and applying that to somebody else's product instead of like, there's a race car, it looks cool. And I understood, if we shoot cool cars and they're running this product, it would sell that. But when you get a nail dip company that wants videos, I'm not an expert on that.
Right.
So just having that thrown at you and learning how to pivot and kind of take your skill set and apply it to different businesses was cool.
Love that, man. So you built this company, and then the desire to basically go do other things in the racing world is what led you to just like selling it and just asking to sell your shares off? Yeah,
I think basically as the company grew, me and the partners kind of wanted to go in different directions. I wanted to do something else in filmmaking. I'd really kind of gotten back in automotive filmmaking, wanted to focus on that, and saw real opportunity in the camera car to really put myself in the space, be a niche competitor, and get to go really monetize on all the relationships I had made early on filming with all the best like drifters in the world.
I love it because it's like a return to, we talk about the art versus business in this podcast a lot. And it's a return to the passion, like why you got started, right?
Yep.
So you like that's what I was kind of mentioning before, is like you started with it, like the passion, like this is the fun stuff I enjoy doing. I like filming cars, and then let's make a industry, a career out of this, and we make corporate videos, and it's fun too, right? You're applying those skills and stuff, but then it's like you had, which is so cool. I love that you had that opportunity to go, hey, but I can make this a career and do and make it more focused on what I'm passionate about too.
Absolutely.
And that's where the camera car comes in.
Dude, so talk to me about the camera car, man. Like you bought this basically Russian Arm version 2 or what's the official title of the piece?
Motocrane. So Motocrane Ultra is the piece of gear. Motocrane's the company that makes it.
Got it.
And they really came in and kind of democratized the space because everybody else had custom fabbed arms that costs $250,000 to make, and you need fabricators on staff and stuff. And shout out to Zach at Motocrane. The dude's a genius. He's got an awesome team over there, and it's been the most reliable piece of gear I've owned ever. And he made that accessible to everybody. And I was one of the first to hop on it, especially the first in Texas to do it. And so it was just, I kind of went for it and it ended up being a smart decision. And it's super fun.
Okay, for people out there that don't know, like, tell us what this crane can do. Like I've seen, Russian Arms or on Instagram and stuff. I want to see this. Hopefully we can see some video clips. Maybe we can link to some videos or something that you've shot with it, or some BTS of it. But kind of just break it down. Like, what is it fully mechanized, up, down, left, right, all of that? You gimbal head. Like, tell us about it.
Yeah. So to break down the crane and the crew that it takes to operate, the car that I chose at the time was a 2003 Mitsubishi Evo. For those of you that don't know what car that is, if you've seen the second Fast and the Furious, it's the one that Paul Walker drives.
Nice. So sick.
I bought one of those.
Driving in style, man.
It's funny because it was a dream car, and then I had to drill holes in the roof to put the rack to put the crane on it.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to hear. I was like, what did you have to do to mod it?
We ruined it, but it did its job well. So you've got the car, right? It's a driver in the driver's seat. Usually I was in the passenger seat operating the arm. So the arm swinging left, right, up, down. It can do a full 360 all on a controller. Then you have a gimbal at the end of the arm. Usually we'd run Ronin 2, sometimes Movi XL, depending on camera package. So you have the head operator that operates the gimbal. So they're pointing where the camera's going. So them and me, the arm operator, we have this dance we've got to dial in. So when we're jibbing this way and I need him to pan this way, we have to talk through that and talk that out. And sometimes I would be head operator, have another crane operator in the seat. So just kind of depended on the project. And then you got your AC that's,
pulling focus.
Yeah, mad at me because I want to shoot at like a 2.0 on an 85 and have him keep it in focus while we're doing 80 miles per hour.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I've had some awesome ACs in the car over the years, and it's it can be really easy if we're just getting some wide beauties of something, at an F4 or an F8.
If you're getting that close up on the tire or something like that.
And you're getting thrown around like crazy in the car. We're out shooting drifting. It gets a little gnarly.
So sick, man. So you built this motor car. Talk to me about like the early days. Like, you make this investment, and just so you know, like, when I think of cars and filmmaking, I think of Max. Like, you have branded yourself as the car filmmaker in such a cool way where it's like, that is, your brand and your identity now. And it's, at least for me, and
I love hearing that. Yeah, man. That's awesome.
Like, when I think cars, I think Max in filmmaking for sure. But talk to me about like the, starting that business, because, when you buy that piece of equipment, you have, I guess you have your clients that you had in the past. Is that kind of how you monetized, that piece of gear initially and got your start?
It is, but I didn't exactly have like this calculated master plan, and there's kind of a theme of that all the way from like buying my first Red camera to buying the motor crane, like financing things and just being like, what's the worst case scenario? I hope this works. So really it was two things: being first to market, or at least in my market with the crane. There were some people that already had it, but also the Evo was a big deal to me. Having a car that I knew if I put a crane on it would get shared and seen all over the world, which it did. Just the car alone got so many views, and Hoonigan did a walkthrough on it, and then I would get calls for all the like sketchy racing videos where nobody wanted to go that fast, so we would be the guys that get to do that, which is funny because I have a race car. I like going racing, but I hate riding passenger in anything that's fast. So I kind of built my own worst nightmare with that car. So a lot of nerve-wracking days in the car. But that was a big piece of it, was building the car to be a marketing tool itself. So it would get exposure, and what I like to call pull marketing. You know, people are coming to me, people are asking me about the car instead of me having to push it on everybody else. And as far as monetizing relationships, you know, I was selling people on a DP rate to come out and shoot stuff and then to edit stuff. But now, you know, we're charging thousands and thousands of dollars to bring this out. So I leaned on those relationships, but it was like a whole different deal. I didn't know if, you know, if I told people it was $7,000 a day to run a camera car, if they were going to laugh at me and never call me, or, you know, be like, sure, no big deal. So, and it was some of both, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Gosh, such a brilliant idea. I love that. The pull marketing mentality and, you know, using that car and having that buzz around it. And you mentioned something too, I got to know, you said the fastest camera car in the market. So, I mean, when you're doing these high speed things, like how fast do you end up going with an expensive camera hanging out there? Plus, I'm guessing all 4 bodies, all 4 humans inside.
Bunch of big film boys in the car too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll say now it's kind of with an asterisk, right? It was the fastest camera car or quickest camera car in the world at the time. So with the old style of camera cars, these cars weighed 6,000-7,000 pounds. They could go decently fast in a straight line, but when you turn them, some of them would tip on 3 wheels.
Wow.
So the reason I built this car was to get around a track and actually film true to life fast content instead of relying on CGI. So, I mean, we've taken the car 155 with a smaller like black arm rig off the back, and we've done over 110 with the arm on the car, which is nuts because like the second you move it, the whole car moves over. So as a driver, you have a lot going on that you got to maintain.
That definitely is a dance then, like he was talking about, between the driver and the boom arm operator. Golly, that's a lot.
So talk to me about like the prep that goes into a shoot like this. Like, you know, are you permitting a lot of stuff? Are you even in an area like most of the time where you have to permit? Like, what does you know, some of the prep just at a high level look like for a shoot on a day-to-day basis for you?
Yeah, you know, early on, I'd say we were a little more wild west about it for some clients. Now it's just kind of more of a hassle and a liability. But we always try to get locations permits, and you know, you're calling the city or you're calling film commissions. We just did a big job in Orlando where we were shutting down roads, and I have to call different counties to shut them down. And a lot of jobs, somebody's already done that for us, and we get to show up if we're just running the camera car. So prep wise, it kind of just depends where you're shooting, what you're shooting. We've done some stuff for major OEMs where their locations person calls the city and they're like, that's fine to run the car, just don't, you know, have the barn boomed over the side while you're on a public road, and you can run it front and back, and that's cool. So
what's it like driving from just to set? Like, do you get stares like out the window the whole time?
You know, I've driven some really cool cars on public roads, but nothing has garnered more attention than the camera car. They see a big crane on it.
Yeah.
You know, you stop to get gas in it, and people asking you if you're working for Google Earth or if you're a storm chaser. You get all sorts of wild stuff, especially when you're in remote locations.
Yeah. So cool. So one of the big things that Red did recently was introduce the Komodo, which has global shutter, which is huge for your industry.
Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about that and like maybe the impact that that's had on your filmmaking since it hit the market. Yeah,
I mean, having that global shutter, it's funny because to DPs and film experts like us, like it's the game changer. And I've actually had a Scarlett W that I had the motion mount on, if you're familiar with that. So Red had, they made a motion mount, it has internal NDs, and it makes DSMC2 cameras global shutter. So I had that thing for a while. And so when the Komodo came out, I was like, all right, cool, I gotta get this too. Yeah, absolutely. So,
well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you switch to ARRI for a little bit?
No, I've always kept Red cameras, but with the film, not with the film car, the camera car, depending on the job, it's either we're showing up with kind of like our package we're familiar with, which is usually like some red DSMC2, Scarlett Gemini Dragon, or sometimes Komodo, and an Ingenue zoom, a Fuji zoom, or they're saying, hey, we've got an Alexa Mini, we want this Zeiss zoom, or we want to shoot anamorphic, and we're like, okay, cool, have the AC prep the camera and give it to us when we show up.
So a lot of times, are you using a zoom just for like ease of use while you're there and whatnot? That makes sense.
Speeds everything up, but my favorite jobs are always like when we throw a Kawa on the front of something or a Master Prime on the front and really get specific on the shots we want to get.
Yeah. So talk to me about some of the shoots that you're doing right now. Are you doing a lot in narrative, commercial? Like what type of shoots are you booking that this request, is necessary for?
Mm-hmm. So now currently with my new role and new company, which we'll dive into, I'm playing more of a producer role. So the camera car either is going out on some local jobs here and there where they just need camera car support. Like next week, I'm going out and working on a Chevy commercial where we're actually taking it and strapping it onto a turbo 4-seater Can-Am to get some off-road truck footage. So that we're running like Movi XL, V-Raptor, Cook Veritol zoom, just
the best.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So and shout out Brandon and Nate, and I've done a lot of stuff with them, and they always bring out the camera car to get some cool stuff. But internally for my company, we use the camera car for them and our clients, and sometimes it's just running footage here and there. For small social pieces. I mean, we literally shut down Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, mounted my red vertical in the Ronin just to go shoot some social bits, which is awesome to have as like a internal production company instead of having to outsource that so we can kind of elevate that hygiene content, right? That quick cut content. But then when we do their big brand pieces, we bring out the camera car, especially for like OEMs and stuff that we're working with too. So really it's just like, now it's like we have this tool, we can kind of use it whenever we want now instead of having to outsource. So sometimes when, say, there's not budget for camera car, but it's a client that's been with us forever and we want to keep supporting, we'll bring it out.
You want to just elevate the film with what
get some
tools you have.
For them, yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So cool, man. So you've been doing this for several years now. Mm-hmm. There's got to be one story where stuff did not work out like you had hoped for it to. Has there ever been a camera that went down or any accidents that have happened with like a camera? Yeah,
I mean, I put a camera down on the ground once, and it was I got so lucky. So basically, like I didn't have my limits on, just touched the Ronin to the ground, kicked it up, it broke the $300 power cable, and that's it.
Wow.
Me and my boys joke about it. They still give me crap for it, but like that was my one, right? And that was probably 4 or 5 years ago on a Def Jam music video where like permitting was very loose and it was 4:30 in the morning and we had been working for like 12 hours. So I always tell people that was my one.
That's the one. I was going to say there's got to be one when you're operating that long on a camera crane. Like you got to have one. And we've all seen like the videos.
I would say I get sent them as soon as they pop up. I get 20 DMs in my Instagram of them.
Dang. So man, let's transition back to the acquisition piece. Tell me a little bit about what that looked like. You built this company, it got acquired. Tell me a little bit about that story for you.
Yeah, so Speed Patrol, my camera car company, I don't even know if I even mentioned the name. So from my old agency, I built Speed Patrol. That's what the camera car lived under, right? I had the Evo. I ended up selling it and picking up an Audi Q7 to have kind of a more comfortable SUV for a lot of these bigger OEM jobs that we were doing camera car work on. And as I was building it, I actually flew out to Dubai to go shoot a piece with my buddy Pepper for a paint protection film company out there. It was a crazy trip. This company does like every Lambo that comes out of Lamborghini Dubai's dealership. And I met my current business partner out there. He was living out there working with an agency. His wife had been one of my friends for many years. I hadn't gotten to meet him yet, but I had been sending him people to work some of the experiential marketing events that he had been working. So we linked up out there. I was doing my thing. He was doing his thing. He came back to Texas, and that's when we kind of like started talking about working together and building something. And so he started building the Wolfpack, getting the company built up, contacted me and was like, hey, I want you to be a part of this. And that's kind of how the acquisition went down. It was, I'm bringing Speed Patrol in. You're going to be the VP of the company. He's a CEO. We have another partner, Megan, who's in LA. She's our creative designer. Amazing websites, graphics, just like crushes it all around. And so we kind of assembled this little, we call it a Navy SEAL team, because it's, you know, a couple of us with a bunch of strategic partners and people that have been doing their tasks for years and years. So that's how the acquisition happened. I got brought on to be EVP of the Wolfpack, and that was November of 21. So we launched the company in the pandemic and just hit the ground running and haven't stopped. So
yeah. So you were saying, you know, before this pod that, you know, right now a lot of what you're doing looks like producing, but you're also EVP of the Wolfpack. Talk to me a little bit about the, you know, the day to day, like how much you juggling here versus there and whatnot.
For sure. It's depending on what's in the pipeline. And it's made me feel like anybody in any company with like an executive title is kind of a producer, right? Because you're making things move and happen and scheduling stuff. So when we're super shoot heavy, I'm directing the shoots, but I'm also producing, you know, where and what. And now I get to take this network of filmmakers that I've made, which we're all homies, but we're all kind of competing against each other, right? Like we're all gunning for the same jobs. We all know the same producers. But now I've gotten to move into this space where I get to call my friends and go, you know, I need you to DP this. I want you to be AC. I want you to, you know, be a grip, gaff, whatever. So that's been super cool to do. And then when we're not shoot heavy, like right now, we have a bunch of experiential marketing events that we're working on, which is what I was honestly most excited about, was getting into event marketing and doing trade shows and selling experiences now, and kind of bringing, you know, that and film and creative design and all this stuff to be like a really true full house automotive marketing agency.
Wow. So repeat the phrase experiential
marketing.
Experiential marketing. So dive a little bit further into that, because that's an interesting topic to me that I haven't heard too much, you know, on.
Yeah, for sure. So Nick, my business partner, that was kind of what he did at a lot of his previous agencies. So in the automotive space, it's, you know, taking the new Lincoln Navigator and setting up a shop that takes you through, you know, how the car was built and this kind of exploratory experience, and then going on a test drive. Or like when Nick and I were back and forthing and I was sending him people, he was doing an Audi drive program where they show up somewhere with a bunch of 8.3s. They have certain people that get to come and drive and test them out. And it's all about kind of getting butts in seats and getting people in the cars. Or like, you know, the first time I saw drifting is actually a good example. It was at the Barrett-Jackson in 2015, and they were Toyota, or no, it wasn't Toyota, I'm sorry, it was Ford was doing ride-along events. So you get to sign up, hop in a Ford Mustang with a pro driver, and they take you for some laps, and then you get out, they'll kick you a video or something. But those kind of activations and events are what I was interested in doing, but never like had the means of or the know-how, but I was always getting asked to go film them.
Super cool, man. Super cool. So one other thought that just popped into my mind that I'm going to take it back a little bit, going back to the camera car stuff. So if somebody's interested in getting into this type of industry, right, it seems like a big mountain to climb at first. What are some practical, tangible things that you could leave our audience if they were interested in pursuing some of the same roles?
Yeah. The cool thing is, you know, from when I bought the crane to now, there's so many new tools out and available. I have some of them. Tilta makes a new like arm that you can put on the back of a car.
I saw that at NAB this year, and it was so sick.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, Flow Cine has their black arm that's been around for a while. outside of, a full moving crane, which like I would only recommend getting a motor crane if you're trying to get into the space. I mean, they have their new Radical, which is a lighter capacity crane, still 12 or even a 14-foot reach, but like a 45-pound capacity on the end of it. So you can buy one of those for like 45 grand now, which is a lot of money, but in comparison or what it looks like isn't. And then stepping down, you have Flow Cine Black Arm all the way down to, I have a Kessler Kill Shock, and then my buddy Keaton at Ascending Works actually makes this really cool, like it's like a trailer hitch mount that you put the Kill Shock on, mount a Ronin 2, mount a Movi on there, run your camera of choice, and you can get those rolling shots. You just don't have the axis movement of the arm.
That's awesome, man. I actually I got to meet Keaton
nice.
recently, and I'm trying to get him on the pod, man.
Dude, that'd be awesome. That's my dude.
You gotta shoot him the DM because we're trying to get Keaton on the pod.
I'll tell him, man. Keaton really he was the first person to get me involved in using. He was a big Flow Cine Black Arm and still is a big Movi guy, and he flew me out to run the Black Arm and the Movi XL on a boat for a project he did.
So cool.
And that's what kind of got me into it. So I owe a lot to him.
And he just built like a custom product now that he's selling, that's like an attachment specifically for
the Kill Shock.
You got it.
Yeah, that's what I have. So it's the Ray rig, which actually you'll appreciate this. It's him and Chris Ray, the filmer for
Chris
DC.
Ray's a legend, man.
Yeah, man, he's the best. So him and Chris teamed up and built that, and Chris uses it all the time. Keaton still uses it for stuff, and he's got a motor crane now too.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Chris is on my bucket list of people to get connected with, man. He's like made such an impact in the skateboarding, filmmaking world that, I just got to shake his hand and say, bro, like you have shot some of my favorite clips to date. So that's awesome, man. So, bro, let's go back even a little bit more. When I first met you, I knew you as Max the DP because that was primarily what you were doing. Are you still doing a lot of DP work today? And if so, like, what does that look like?
I really don't touch cameras a lot anymore. It depends on what, but for some things, smaller things, I may shoot and edit them. Again, when you're in this kind of VP role and sometimes you just need to get something done for a client, like I'll go out and I'll shoot an event or shoot some promo stuff. But for the most part with what we're doing, I'm directing and hiring DPs that are way better than I am, because I definitely I was shooting cars, but moving into other spaces, like I'm a good DP, and I think when I shoot and edit something, the outcome's great, but like everyone's so freaking good now and technical, and I'm just like, I'm not that technical. I move things around a lot, and like I don't have a lot of technical lighting ability, but like I can light something and make it look good. So it's actually a treat for me when I get budget to go like hire somebody that I'm like, this dude's awesome, I want to work with him. And then I realized how not good of a DP I was.
So your career has changed, and just like your passions have changed so much. Like, you went from the DP and then, built a company, you sold it, you did the camera car stuff. Now you're vice president of, this company.
The Wolfpack Agency.
The Wolfpack Agency. Got to plug that in the show notes, man. But man, you've had such, so much change in your career, which I think is a common thing for filmmakers to go through. Like we start out, like being the one-man band operator, shooting and editing, and then we grow and evolve, and we have these different seasons in our career as filmmakers. Talk to me just a little bit about I guess what that's just been like from a high level perspective, just seeing your career and everything change, and like, has that been difficult, like letting go of like this old identity, you know what I mean? And then latching onto a new identity. Tell me a little bit about how that's gone.
For sure. What comes to mind thinking about all of it is just like something that I think a lot of people in the creative space struggle with, which is imposter syndrome, like, especially now, like my Instagram, I even had to dumb it down because you follow all these people that are just like at the top of the game. And so you're constantly watching people do this work that's amazing, that you're like, I don't know if it's more budget, I don't know if they're better than me, I don't know if they're this or that. And like that journey from, DP to being in a leadership role and now being the vice president of a company and working in all facets of marketing, the thing I'd say is like, I didn't have some like grand master plan. And I think with just getting stuff done and a little imposter syndrome there, it makes you give a shit enough to where you just want to do good. And if you like, it sounds corny, but just working hard out of not wanting to fail. And for me, like, it's always come back to racing and wanting to one day go racing again. Like, that's what's kept my drive up and like able to kind of like navigate all these new roles. And of course, like meeting people, having people you learn from, being thrown into the fire, which it's I still feel like I'm there today, and I'm a EVP of a company. At the end of the day, I'm still that camera kid that just started, filming skateboarding stuff. And back then I was just trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
So it still feels that way, but as you grow and as you do more stuff, it's like things just start to click more. And once you get those reps in, you just get better and better. And even the companies that we work with, you meet them and they're in these big, executive roles, and you realize like they're just trying to do their job and do it good and figure it out as well. So
yeah,
in a business sense, that's helped me a lot with working with clients.
It's so good.
It's such a beautiful picture that you just painted, man, and touched, because it's so true. I mean, I feel like, we're all just that kid that just started out, like Joey was saying, the one-man band. You start out with that passion, you turn it into a career, and then being able to return to that passion like you've been able to do, that's so awesome and commendable to be able to do that. And I think that's the struggle, again, with art versus business. It's like, how do we make money and provide, feed the family, and feed our expensive, industry, gear and stuff like you're talking about, but then keep that passion alive.
For sure.
And I think part of it is just always learning. We're always hungry. We've been doing this for 12 years at Cinema Story. I say that we're like the oldest startup ever, because like every day I'm like, do we really know what we're doing?
Yeah. I love that.
We have
so true.
We have so many clients, we have so many contractors, so many employees, so many deadlines. Do we know what we're doing?
Yeah.
Like, keep going, keep learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, especially being creatives first before businessman.
Right.
Like I'm not Gary Vee, I'm not Grant Cardone. Like,
yeah.
I think as creatives and filmmakers, we lean more towards, I don't know if being emotional is the right word, but like what we do and what we shoot, we started out, based off of like making things look good and a feeling, and then we have to apply it to marketing. But, I'm still the same kid I was at the core of it. So it's just like figuring out, navigating stuff. If you just, I don't know, put enough pressure on yourself to succeed, or financially put enough pressure on yourself by buying too much gear, you'll make it work.
Right. I bought this red. How do I pay for it?
I bought a camera car. I need to pay for it.
Man, you said something earlier too that I want to go back to, and just even like the comparison on Instagram thing, man. I think it's huge, bro. Like there's so many DPs and directors out there that are just making ridiculously beautiful looking stuff. And it makes you really like question, like, is it me? Like, can I like be better? Is it a budget thing? All these different things. Tell me a little bit about, because we haven't really dove into this on the pod, but talk to me a little bit about just how you approach, comparison of your art, because making art is a very vulnerable thing.
Yeah.
Putting your work out there and saying, hey, I made this and now I feel proud enough to show it off. Like there's so much vulnerability that we as artists have to, manage. And then there's so much out there to compare it to.
Yeah.
So talk to me about like how you, approach that.
I mean, like the first thing I'll say is like, if I show you anything I've made recently or a long time ago, I'm probably going to sit there and give you a bunch of excuses why it wasn't better while you're watching it.
Right.
And I don't think that'll ever stop, and that's part of
your own worst critic, man.
Yeah. It's part of making art. But if I show you something I made on that T2i like 12 years ago, I'll be like, this is sick. This is awesome.
Isn't
just
that so weird how that works? Dude, some of my oldest stuff, I'm like, proudly watch this. with the knowledge that it was like 5-6 years ago, and like that, you know, I've
maybe
grown.
that excuse is like
right,
like what you need. It's like a 6-year buffer to appreciate your work.
That's so interesting, man.
But I think like I mean, I guess advice to filmmakers, because you know, from $500 car shop videos to big budget commercial pieces, whether it was mine or on the camera car, like we've shown up on couple $1 million commercials where they're flying a DP rep by Ridley Scott Group out to sit in the camera car with us, and like it all kind of feels the same.
Yeah.
And it's just how many people are on set, and then like how much did they spend on lighting? You know, it's lighting is the big thing.
Yeah.
Like you want to make these big, beautiful pieces, but on these big sets, it's kind of, how many moving parts are in there? And then how much light does the DP want for stuff? And even when you have the big lights, it's just kind of, you know, I feel like a lot of it's throw a big light up, throw some diffusion on it, and then you kind of shape small, you know. And again, I'm not a technical DP, not to offend anybody, but as a producer and kind of director, that's where my brain goes as far as budgets. And when I hire a big DP, I'm like, you do your thing, tell me how much light you need, and we'll just go from there.
That's so awesome and so interesting, man. I love that. So future cast a little bit for me. What are some of your goals? What are some of the things that you're working towards right now?
Yeah, I mean, with the Wolfpack agency, we hit the ground running when we started. We're working with big OEMs. We're working with some really cool new clients to the automotive industry. First and foremost, it's take care of them and grow with them, especially as a new company. Like, it's always harder to find new clients than it is to keep the ones you have. So luckily, we have some really awesome clients that we work with. So keeping them happy, growing the client list. If we're talking bucket list stuff, I really want to shoot something with an F1 team or be part of an F1 activation.
So awesome.
That's on the bucket list as well. And yeah, growing the team. Like Nick, really, again, Wolfpack is his baby. I was brought into it. Megan was brought into it. And it's cool seeing somebody that was the decision maker at some really, really big places go, I want to start something and I want to put the creatives at the table. Not just, you know, do the old agency model where there's a whole bunch of execs and higher ups that aren't creative, that have never touched cameras, that don't do design, and, you know, buy a big building and just have crazy overhead.
Yeah.
So to have creatives at the table making the decisions and be in the meetings, and, you know, all of our people are decision makers. Like, anybody can call shots. It's what do they call it? A flat organization across the board, right? And so being able to have that and then have clients that like that, I just want to keep that ball rolling, you know?
Yeah.
I'm getting older. We're all getting older. We've been filmmaking forever, and it's like, it's stressful, or it takes a lot is probably a better way to put it. So like going into my 30s, I want to work with people that want to work with us, and luckily we have that, and I just want to keep that ball rolling. And, you know, I got a fiance, I got some dogs, I got a race car. Like, I'm pretty set where I'm at, and I just want to keep growing this business and keep making cool stuff with cool clients.
So sick, bro. That was like a motivational TED talk in and of itself.
Hold on, I got to know about this race car. So is this like passion, hobby on the side, or full-time thing that you do, you know, like part-time gig that you do? Tell us about the race car.
It's hobby on the side, but I have some awesome partners that work with me, and I've been able to use media to kind of like leverage that. So like, I brought up my buddy Nate, who went pro. When I met Nate, we were both 18. We both had Nissan 240 SXs, and I met him at a car meet at like 11 o'clock on a Saturday night in Dallas, and us and like 30 other people would go find industrial lots to slide our car around in. He took that to a whole new level. I took it up to here and then had to sell my car because I was in school and I couldn't afford to go racing anymore. And so part of that incentive of getting into filmmaking was being at the track and being around the track again. And that's what kind of, you know, started me getting into it. And the goal was always to get back racing. So fast forward, I guess like 7 or 8 years, I bought another drift car, got rid of that one, bought another drift car, got rid of that one. Then I bought my current one, which is it's a Nissan 240SX, and it's got a built LS2 Corvette motor in it. So little small Nissan with a 450 horsepower Corvette.
Zoom.
That's so sick, man.
I got to make this comparison real quick because I love this. So Joey's a skateboarder at first, and then turned filmmaker, and you did skateboarding, and so I was the guy at the skate park, like with the camera, the nerd, like trying to film you guys, and I went down a couple ramps, ate it a couple times. I'm like, I'm the guy with the camera, I'm gonna film. But I love being surrounded by you guys because even like, talking about the racing, right? It's like the same mentality of like shutting down a parking lot, right? Making some dope content, doing something that you're passionate about, like skateboarding, and then making it in such a unique way. So I had to filmmaking. What is it with filmmakers and skateboarders? Dude, you guys are everywhere, and you're really good at what you do.
Hey, man. First of all, those filmmakers are to be protected.
Right.
Like the guys that hang in there and like watch us lose our minds trying to get one trick for a couple hours, like.
Dude, a lot of people that don't know like what filming and skateboarding looks like, I'm going to paint a quick picture. You go and... First of all, it's way easier now than it was back in the day. Back in the day, like if you knew a filmer, it was like the holy grail of like, people to know because iPhones weren't a thing.
Nope.
You couldn't film on your phone. You had to buy like a Handycam mini DVD or mini DV camera. And
that's why I saw the clip. You were doing DV tapes when y'all would film parts, which like... That's a whole different ballgame.
So I started out on mini DV tapes and got my first camera at 11 years old. It was the Handycam, you know what I'm saying? It had the zoom, just like dialed in on it. And so you go out and then once you finally find a spot, you either get kicked out and you're not allowed to do it, or if you actually go and get access to the spot, then you're throwing yourself down doing something that you probably are almost not qualified to do, but like you're forcing yourself to do. And so the filmer winds up filming the exact same shot for hours. And then sometimes you don't even land it. Yeah. And then you got to go back again and again and again. And so the mindset of skateboarders in the industry, it's like we've built our framework around persistence and pushing boundaries in our life of what's possible.
And to be right once.
And to be right
out of 100 times.
That's good. You go and you try something 1,000, 10,000 times, and you finally, after days, weeks, months, years of trying to learn something, land it one time.
Yep.
And you do it all for that one feeling of knowing that you're better than that trick.
Yep.
Getting those reps in. And that is exactly why I like to hire skateboarder filmmakers.
Nice.
Because,
we get it.
Because you guys put in the reps and
we'll hang
get
in
the
there.
it's persistence.
Not many like skateboarding filmmakers are like afraid to do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like the mindset is just different because that's how we grew up.
Man. 12 hours, 14 hours.
Nothing. Nothing. Bringing shirts out. Oh, man. Takes me back, dude. So, bro, this has been great. We have 5 questions that we like to ask every guest on our show before they roll out of here.
Cool.
And so my first question for you is if you could go back and do it all again, what's one thing that you would do differently?
This might be kind of cliche, but it makes me think of gear. I would have bought better lenses sooner.
So what lenses did you buy originally?
Dude, I still have like Sigma Arts for my Red Scarlet.
Yep.
But now we just rent, There you go.
Got the Sigma art on the red right now.
Man, it gets it done. But like for me, and I say this and it kind of worked. Like when I got my first red, it was a Scarlet W, like when it came out. And so it was like a big deal to me. And looking back, like I was out shooting 18-1 compression on stuff with, some Canon lenses. Like I would have been fine on, a Sony DSLR making the same stuff. Where the competitive edge of like good filters, good glass, I think may have elevated my DP game a little more instead of like I did the thing that everyone hates. They're like, I got a red, hire me. But it worked. I don't think it works as much anymore because all these new cameras are so good, but I would have gotten into some good like artistic glass, I think.
So what kind of glass do you lean into now? Like obviously there's some really, really nice lenses, but in just the the context of investing into glass, what's some of the glass that you would have or did invest into?
I mean, for me, it's a little specific because the camera car, right? So zooms are what I need, but and maybe this is like an interesting spin on it. Like I love anamorphics, and when what are they called? I can't even remember what they're called. We were shooting on anamorphic a lot, and they're like 30 grand.
Is it this?
Yes, Alice.
I'm wearing the hat right now.
In front of me. Yeah. So it's been a while since I've shot on them. But yeah, when Alice came out with their anamorphics, like early on, if I would have spent the 30 grand, and had those, it would have been really cool. But
I was gonna say they're like 90 now for the kit.
Oh my God. That's the thing, is they're kind of like watches sometimes too. They go up.
They're
in value.
assets, dude.
But with that aspect
especially
ratio,
as they vintage out and like you can't get them anymore.
Yeah. But now with aspect ratios, shooting anamorphics, like we're all being asked to reframe for vertical.
Yep.
So I can't shoot 2x anamorphic. I did that for kind of like a passion / project for one of my drift sponsors, Tire Streets. We shot this really cool drift piece on Atlas anamorphics, and it was sick. And they're like, hey, can we get a couple cuts for social? And
got to crop in like
oh, dude,
800%.
I just started stacking stuff. Like I couldn't do it.
No.
So
you got to do like a 4 or 5 clips at a time. Yeah.
So a little less of that now. So with that being said, now like give me some master primes and like that's all I need.
That's awesome. So have you invested in any cinema glass right now? I just rent everything?
Yeah, I spent all my money on the camera car.
Yeah. Right.
Otherwise I would.
So man, that's great. So next question is what excites you the most right now about the current film industry or market?
I think it's access to tools that people didn't have, I see a lot of negativity in the film space about, how good cameras are getting or camera rivalries and stuff. And maybe it's now because I'm on the directing and producing side, but I love that like a lot of projects, there's kids with FX3s that just like crush it. And like skateboarding, like I go on my Instagram and watch these kids skate. I'm like, oh my God,
the game has changed.
I sucked when I thought I was good. It's like that with filmmakers now. Like everybody's getting so good. So there's this like really cool talent pool that like, yes, it's more competitive, but because of the gear being developed and because of kids having access to more stuff, like everybody's crushing it.
Yeah. Man, that's such a good point that you bring up too, and that I kind of want to like dive even just a little bit further into. So like with the rise of accessibility, and really the rise of competition, because there's so many more good filmmakers out there. Like, how do you set yourself apart and manage that?
I become an EVP of an agency and get to hire those kids and not try and be better than them.
Yeah,
seriously,
that's
man,
one of the best answers we've heard. That's
dude,
good.
seriously,
like straight up,
can't beat them, join them.
Like I get on, either TikTok or Instagram, and like I watch a lot of car stuff. So like I watch these 10-second reels that these kids, like it would take me days to do the After Effects work on. Like it's nuts what people can do now. So again, I keep referencing back to skateboarding. Like, we were skating. I got to where I was skating like small handrails, nothing too gnarly. And it's like the 12-year-olds at the park do that now.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to hurt myself trying.
There was like I think a 9-year-old that did like a 1080 on a mega ramp or something like that. Nuts. And it was like, once upon a time, the 900 was unthinkable.
By an old
guy. The 1080 wasn't even a thought. And then now there are people less than 10 who are pulling stuff like that off.
Yeah,
it's just like, and just as skateboarding has progressed, filmmaking has progressed, and it's kind of exciting to see.
It's cool.
You know what I mean?
I've had my scrappy years, so it's kind of cool to not be on the sidelines, but to honestly like give opportunity. And that's probably my favorite part about what I'm doing now, is now I can give opportunity instead of like scrapping for it with people, because again, it's not me being selfish. It's like everybody's so good. Yeah. It's like, it's tough.
That's cool, man.
It's a great viewpoint, though. It's that collaboration, all together that makes it enjoyable for me as well. And so it's like, a lot of the old film guys are like, it's a race to the bottom. And all this, like, those aren't our clients, man. The people that are paying $500, to the kids that are starting out, we all did that.
Yeah.
You know, they got to start there, but that's no longer my client. But now it's providing opportunity, and it's like doing more dope stuff on the higher end level altogether.
Yeah,
and
man.
that's fulfillment right there, man.
Yeah.
Those reps still hold more weight than
100%.
skill, and especially in business negotiation and return on investment for client and how to market stuff.
Right.
Like these kids are good at filmmaking, but I know you guys talk filmmaking and business, and I feel like those are chops that like some people get in their early 20s, sure, but like it takes time, and once you get older, you get more of that. So there's still that balance, and us old guys are still here to
We're still in
make it happen.
We're still in it.
Yeah. Man, that's so good. What is one piece of advice that you can give to filmmakers who are trying to grow in their craft or their business right now?
A piece of advice I'd give is to go work beside people that are better than you doing what you want to do, and you're going to bug them and you're going to hit them up. Be persistent, but try and provide value from them for them from the get-go. That was the biggest thing for me to make people that I looked up to notice to me, like, hey, can I shoot something for you? Hey, can I edit something for you? Don't bog yourself down with free work or anything. But like, if it's something that interests you, I mean, I have it all the time with the camera car. Like,
oh yeah, I can't imagine.
I get DMs, hey, I'll drive that thing for you. And I'm just like, dude, that's my baby.
Yeah,
we're talking about, but there's just a way, camera car or filmmaking, to just find opportunity and provide value for people, and then just be fun to work with. And that will get you on set with people.
So important, everybody that's out there listening, to find opportunity, but provide value back, which is so important. We have an internship program now at Cinema Story, and that's been awesome because, you have these fresh minds, this new talent, these kids that are doing, 1080s, at 9 years old, but in the film industry. And the best ones come, and they do ask a lot of questions, like you're saying, but they bring that value. And we're just like, dude, you guys are the future. Y'all are Cinema Story. We're going to help guide and do the business side and give you the reps on that. So
for sure.
That's awesome. Bringing the value is so important.
Yeah, I get DMs all the time like, hey, can I take you out to coffee and pick your brain? And I'm like,
I ain't got time
absolutely
for that.
Not. Like,
you got a wife.
Yeah. It's not like I got to struggle to make time to give to her.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going out to eat, it's not going to be with you. But
yeah, man,
if you hit me up and you're like, hey, here's my reel, I'd love to come shoot some free BTS for you sometime, you can pick my brain on set all day long.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But it's them providing value to me at the get-go, and that's how you open the door to get an opportunity to pick the brain of someone that you want to do business with. Yeah,
and I'd say a lot of it's timing too. Like, I have a lot of people that have hit me up, and they're just like, hey, I'll come on set, I'll do whatever. I'm like, oh, cool, like, I'll let you know. And with so much going on, I forget and whatnot. So that persistence, and then, don't take offense if somebody doesn't hit you back on it. Because for me, it's always been like it's in my Instagram DM somewhere. And yes, you're one of a lot of people, even if, your work is awesome, but, be persistent and chase that down, and then show up and ask questions. Don't expect anything for showing up and doing free work. I don't like making people work for free ever. If I can, I'll throw you a little money here and there, even if I don't need you on set. So, persistence, but don't take it personal if you don't get a DM back. Like, I got a line of people to drive my camera car. I got a line of people that want to operate the head in the camera car. Sometimes there's some paths that aren't worth knocking on doors for, because it's just tough to get in. Yeah. So good, man. So where, as an industry, are we headed right now in filmmaking, and what should we be focusing on? Oh, man. I'm sure y'all think about it too. AI is like the big hot topic, right? Yeah. Did you guys see the Bud Light commercial that beer commercial AI made? It's like, it's terrifying. Dang. There's an all AI beer commercial that AI apparently made, and it honestly looks like a horror movie with a bunch of people holding beers, Dang. Wow. But with that, I mean, I think we're heading into utilizing that. I don't think it's gonna like ruin the whole industry. Yeah, I think it's gonna hurt more like copy and SEO and paid ad people more than us. I don't know, man. I think it's just trying to figure out how to utilize these platforms that we're working with. Like, obviously TikTok is a huge thing. Will it get banned? Will it not? Who knows? But vertical videos here to stay.
Yep.
Short form video is here to stay.
Yep.
I think content lives a shorter life, and it's going to keep getting shorter. So it's just like, how do we adapt to that, and how do we use, like, I don't know, like, our phones are slot machines for video content. So like, it's not, oh, I shot this sick shot. It's now more on the story and how do you capture people's attention and get them to watch what you're making, you know?
That's it, man. That's
if your intro's 15 seconds of nothing and no storytelling, you're gone.
Yeah.
Yep. 2 seconds. Gotta catch their attention.
Yeah.
So,
man, so are you implementing AI into your business?
not really. Like, GPT has been like a cool thing to like get started with like script writing and stuff. For me, it was the same in school. Like, starting the paper was harder than finishing the paper. So I'd call it like light use. We have strategic partners that seem to implement it in certain spaces. I look at it as more of a time saver.
Yeah.
I think if everybody's using AI, then like, what are we gonna do when everything on our phones is AI? Like, I won't care about it, you know?
Right.
So, just light use for now. I'm trying to learn more tools, and like, if AI can get better at editing, that's the only thing I care about.
Yeah.
Because
and they're already on the road there, man.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing stuff now where they're like auto, like visualizing the scene, cutting out key moments, splicing them together. And they're actually doing a pretty decent job in the highlight space, like highlight reel videos. But once they can really get good at storytelling and coming up with creative ways to tell storytelling, I think the game is going to change.
For sure, man. Yeah, I think that I was talking about this with a buddy the other day. Like, when it comes to making ads, when or if AI starts to take over and what we're watching are just these made up stories, I think real people and real things happening in front of cameras are going to hold a higher value than even shooting something pretty. Or maybe it's like, you know, it's somebody's real story, but you complement it with that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, it's back to providing value or telling a story. I think those things will hold more weight. If AI goes into this crazy, it can make any Super Bowl beer commercial that you input into it.
Crazy, man.
But I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah. So last question for you. Who is a filmmaker that you look up to and why?
Man, there's been a lot over the years, like, especially at like different stages. Chris Ray, we talked about being one of them for sure. Ty being a skateboard filmer, like, he's sick. My buddy Corey was one of the first people that kind of like Corey Denemy. He was filming with my buddy Nate, documenting him going around the country racing before he went pro. And they have a cool story where Corey kind of just like made this DVD and dropped it off to Nate. They took that, they cut it up into a web series and put it on Vimeo, and it started the race weekend recap.
Wow.
So like, Corey was a big influence for me there. Once I got into drifting and into Formula D, Ryan Davis is another good filmer. He works for Race Service, which is an automotive agency out in LA. They do a lot of really cool stuff. They work for Ferrari, the F1 team there. They did a lot of stuff for Formula One specifically. If you've seen Drive to Survive, they're always the guys getting that driver lineup shot. But Ryan was like the man when I showed up. He was like one of the only guys with a red when I showed up to FD, so I looked up to him a lot. As far as movie directors go, David Fincher is probably my favorite.
So sick.
Dude, like, House of Cards is probably one of my favorite series, because from filming cars and action-paced things to watch that show and love it so much and watch them never move the camera unless something happened, I probably like took the most as a filmmaker from that. And then everything else he does is just
I was reading about like just that whole approach in a ASC magazine, like on just the mindset of that. And it just challenged me so much as a filmmaker, thinking, on the directing and DPing and like the motivation that comes from, or that they did in that series.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's awesome. And I think last one I'll mention is McGregor. He's a DP doing all the big car spots right now. And like, he does a lot of camera car work with different teams, but everything he does has crazy shake to it, and I love that.
Yeah, like just adds the energy to the.
It's all high energy stuff. So he's one of my favorite DPs to watch now when it comes to shooting cars.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming out and just being a part of this, dude. I've really enjoyed this episode. For people out there that want to get connected with you, how can people get in touch and get connected with you?
Yeah, first of all, I've had a great time talking with you guys, catching up with you. It's been forever, so I love what you guys are doing, and these talks are important for the filmmaking community. As far as getting in touch with me, my Instagram is at Max_Fuerst, so my name, and then if you want to see our work, our website's thewolfpack.agency. So check our work out on there, hit me up on IG. I respond back all the time, and yeah.
We'll put the links up, and then we'll also put them up in YouTube, so you can click over there. Check out the camera car, check out Max and everything that they have going over at the Wolfpack.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, if you are a listener, make sure to get in touch with us as well. Do a like, a comment, a subscribe, all that good stuff, and get connected with us. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Rough Cut Club.